And we are live.
We're live? Let me see.
Need better posture. Alrighty. Hello.
Okay, we're here.
We are here.
All right. We're back another week.
We are back another week, episode 17.
It's a lot of episodes.
Pat in the back. Well done, Francis. We've made it this far.
Team effort.
That's it. No, I remember the first day that we popped on.
Oh, yeah?
And we were just like, all right, let's just do it. And yeah, we was in the other building and it was horrible audio.
Yeah.
And it was fucking weird.
Well, we made it work.
We made it work. That's it. We made now and we thought later. And we didn't even have the name then. So what's been going on in your world this past week, man?
This past week, been a bit of a busy week, non-content wise, but I guess the news content wise is that I posted a tweet last night, which is more tweets than I posted in the last month.
That's 100% increase. I love it.
Yeah. So
there's a really good one as well. If you want to check it out, Francis Lee on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes.
Hell yeah.
But so it was a post about
I can hear
about
an echo
programming.
of you. I'm not sure if that's coming through yours.
You can hear
Can you hear that? Just a tiny little echo.
Is your sound on? You shouldn't be able to hear it.
No, it shouldn't. Hello? So
Hello?
might have been my fault. Continue.
Okay.
My bad.
All right. Okay, we can cut that. So we're all good.
That's okay.
Just want to check that everything's still working. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so it was a tweet about a programming library for dates in JavaScript. Because I've been working with dates a lot, and working with dates in JavaScript is kind of a pain.
Big pain in the ass.
Yeah. So it reflects my experience of kind of what I've found to work. And yeah, I just posted a few thoughts. And I think the most interesting part about that was that I posted the thing, and that whole night I had been kind of reading up on these components and these date libraries that were written by Adobe. So coincidentally. So Adobe has a set of libraries that they have released for programming, and they are used for kind of making components and for making things accessible. And by accessible, I mean when you are kind of using the internet and maybe you are sight impaired in some way or something like that, they make libraries to make it easy to make websites which can be used by those people, because, you know, it'll read the screen for you, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's funny because I was reading all these posts on the GitHub, which is where all the code is hosted. And yeah, the guy who wrote all that stuff that I was reading the whole night retweeted my tweet. So just
Love it.
it's just funny how things work in the world. You know, you don't expect that to happen, but it has happened. So, but it's good. I feel like it's something that I've kind of been working towards. I think just posting more on Twitter or wherever else. And as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, I think it is something that I want to do, which is to talk about the tech stuff on Twitter or share my experiences or share what I find or what I'm learning or what I feel are best practices. And then, so putting that plan into motion a little bit and just trying to work on building the consistency of being able to do that day in, day out, or week in, week out, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. That's sick. And when we say it's a tweet, it wasn't just a tweet. It was a shit hot value pack thread.
Ben,
Many a tweet.
Ben's got his marketing hat on. I don't know if you can see this.
No, I've got my New York Yankees hat on. I don't know what you're talking about. It was really good. It was really good because I reckon if you frame it as just like a tweet, it's just like a fleeting sort of thought. No, it's like a well thought out sort of series of tweets, which oftentimes, like I've found for myself, that they do really well if they're valuable. You know, like, and you'll be tweeting into the void for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I expect to do. I'm not really too concerned with the response of these kind of first few posts. I think of it more like kind of what you've mentioned many times before, like building the gold mine, or trying to build that kind of backlog of things that you've created, so that when you start to build that quality, people can see that, oh, you post this stuff, this is why I should follow you.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the beginning of that. And yeah, it's just working on continuing to build that and making sure that I don't stop building it.
Yeah.
As long as I keep wanting to build it.
Yep. I can't wait till you get that first like save to Notion or like tag save to Readable or whatever it is. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, that's like the equivalent of a save on Instagram. I reckon that's like a real like, yep, cool. Did well on that one.
Yeah. So it's just gonna build up, I think. So it's the first step in one of many, but happy that it's out.
Hell yeah, man. I'm proud of you. Well done.
Thanks, Dad.
Fantastic. No worries, son.
Yeah. So how about you? So that's my kind of quick update. We've mentioned a few weeks now, Ben. I've been editing these things, and then in every one, the YouTube is coming out soon. So so where are we headed?
Soon as tonight.
Soon as tonight.
It is D-Day. It was meant to be last night, but it got too late. It was actually, it's uploaded. It's uploaded. It's uploaded. It's in Google's hands right now, in YouTube's hands, and it's unlisted. Because I don't even know the workflow of like uploading a video. Because Instagram, it's just instant. Just like when you hit post, it's posted. But in YouTube, it starts off as unlisted, and it even gives you recommendations like keep it as unlisted and leave it like for an hour or two to see if there's any monetization issues or copyright sort of things, and then turn it public. And I think as soon as you hit it public, then that's when it's like, okay, that's the equivalent of hitting post on Instagram, let's say. So that was interesting, and that was like at 11:45 at night. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait much longer because I got to get up. I had to get up early this morning, so I'm like, this isn't procrastination. This is just like it's out of my hands. YouTube told me that I couldn't post it yet, so. But yeah, tonight.
Okay.
Tonight, and I wanted to get a reel out to sort of promote it as well. Which was a tricky thing because this video is like 8 minutes long, and trying to condense that story that I've sort of done in that 8 minutes down to like a 60-second reel or 45-second reel that still has value, isn't disjointed, and having that call to action to go to the video at the end as well. So that was like another thing that I was sort of scrambling to do yesterday because I was like, oh shit, yeah, that would probably be a good idea to sort of give it a little kickstart. So I made a couple of reels. I'll be posting one tonight after I sort of publish. It's like it feels like a mini like version of the Gumroad. It has nothing, it's nothing like that, but it does feel like a very mini version of that, Gumroad tutorial. But yeah, so that's lots of tweaks and fiddling around. I've hopped between software. I've done like very sophisticated procrastination, watched many YouTube tutorials on storytelling and editing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm just making now and thinking a lot about it. I'm thinking now, I'm going to think later as well. But yeah, just break that seal and just go.
Yep.
And sort of,
so it'll be nice. Said to yourself, there's no more tweaks. There's no more any of that.
Oh no, I've said to myself, there's a lot that could be tweaked, but I'm not touching it anymore. It's done. It's uploaded. The audio's good. I think I think all the levels are all right, but I'll get feedback, and that's what's good about just getting it out there instead of me just umming and ahhing. It's taking away time from the next video that's going to be better. Because the file sizes and even the sort of file organization and stuff gets really out of hand. It like bird nests really quickly, and it'll be nice just to wipe that all clean, start from scratch, and just go again with all the learnings that I've taken from the last like 3 weeks of, probably a little bit longer than 3 weeks, but the past little while of doing this video. And I think I'll get this one out in the next week and a half. That's the goal, to keep that like maybe week and a half to 2 week cadence of just consistency with YouTube, because that's where a lot of my focus is going to be, I think, in conjunction with sort of Instagram. So I'm thinking about doing like my usual sketch notes that do fairly well on Instagram, seeing how I can actually make those into YouTube videos as well.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea, because that's kind of what you've built the most traction with on Instagram. And if there's a video equivalent to that, which translate.
It'd be great if I could actually do them both at the same time.
Yeah.
But that's, that's a lot of work. I am but one man, but yeah. So that's kind of, and I did my first draw this in your style
Oh yeah.
these
I saw
last
that.
couple of weeks as well, which is fun. There's my own characters. It wasn't using sort of pop culture sort of characters or anything, and I just had a lot of fun with it. There's a sketch note to go along with that one, but I was just like, look, let's just post that image. I know it's not going to do as well as the others, or quote unquote do as well, but I'm going to try and sort of get a little bit of a community thing going with the draw this in your style. For those that don't know, draw this in your style is essentially just creating a hashtag around a certain image or characters that you post and say, hey, this is open season. Go for it. What's your version of this? Draw this in your style. So it's like DTIYS, right? So the hashtag was like hashtag Ben Eblen DTYIS1. Horrible hashtag, but I put it there so people can just pop it. Yeah, and it's sick. And then I can find them and I put them in my stories. And yeah, just share what other people are doing. It's really cool. Different people's like styles, interpretations of what. We've got some that did it in a completely different. It wasn't just like a copy of the same thing. They did it in a different scene, in a different way, and it was really, really cool. And I'm gonna do more of them.
So you got the kind of engagement that you were looking for, or the kind of?
I guess I don't know what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I wanted to do one. I thought it was probably a good thing to do it with a couple of my own characters, so I can sort of follow it up with a sketch note on some of the behind the scenes of creating that after maybe like a week or so. So it gives people a little bit of an insight about what I was thinking. And then I'd do a little reminder on that next post to say, hey, I didn't put a time limit on it. Some people do like a time limit, or like it's for a particular milestone. Like I made like 20,000 followers. Draw this in your style sort of milestone. This was just like a random ass, give it a shot. I'm trying it out. So that was like a cool little experiment as well. Yeah, people did it. To my surprise, we got some people coming through.
Cool.
Yeah. It's like posting in the Discord as well. People sort of doing work in progress shots of them working on it. So it's a nice little community thing. And I think it's something that I could fold into maybe the live streams in YouTube as well. So it's like, all right, this is character prompts that I'm going for. Use this hashtag, tag me in it, and I'll sort of, because I want to involve other people as well. Like it's kind of, I don't know, at least for me, it's kind of not boring, but I don't want it to be like, oh, it's all about me. I find a lot of enjoyment with involving other people in the process as well. Like I'm kind of doing something similar with my live streams at the moment, where I'm contracted to do a tutorial in a magazine, Character Design Quarterly, and they gave me like a 3-word prompt to then create characters around. I was like, okay, can I stream that? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So I was like, sick. So now I'm doing that for the last like few streams. I'm sort of taking people along for the journey of doing this. So it's like, I guess that's a nice little way, kind of the ideal if you're doing contract work. How can you fold that into your personal content sort of workflow or stream as well? So it benefits you, not just the money that you're getting from the company or the potential exposure or whatever. You're also sort of letting people in to the process as well. So yeah, got a few things going on, but I think those are the main.
You've got this, like, do you feel like with your content, everything is kind of based around creating the sketch note at the end? Because like you're talking about this do it in your own style thing. And when you were talking about that, you were saying, okay, like I'm going to do this character and then I can create a sketch note from it. Because your sketch note thing is basically the thing that you get the most traction with. Sometimes.
Yeah. Depends what you're talking about. Traction. If you're moving the needle business-wise, it's not the most lucrative thing. For like the time to create versus the outcome, depending on the sketch note. I can do a reel that'll take me 15 minutes. That has made me more money than a sketch note that took me a couple of days to put together. It's that sort of gold mine mentality.
Yeah, keeping the quality high. And it's like that evergreen sort of content. Although Instagram isn't being used like that, I do notice people going back and liking and commenting on sketch notes, and they're finding it's like probably my highest value pieces of content. Yeah.
that don't necessarily do as well.
I think that's because we've talked about this evergreen kind of content thing, right? With Instagram and TikTok, Twitter, they're quite fleeting.
Yeah.
And you've got this, you've already got this kind of body of work that you've done on Instagram. And like we've talked about before, the problem with Instagram is that it's just not searchable in any way. It's not very good for finding past content or finding specific things.
Yeah.
And you've already got all this kind of evergreen content already in there. The reels maybe not so evergreen. I mean, even they're pretty evergreen in some ways, right?
Yeah, but it's like you can't get a good taste of what they are without watching this. Like even the reels, screenshot at the beginning or the thumbnail, it's not fantastic. It doesn't give you too much context because even with shorts, YouTube, you can't change the thumbnail of the. They like choose it for you. So it's like, well,
okay,
unless you got an Android phone.
Do they?
Which is weird.
Oh, so you can change it with an Android phone.
That's it. You can't do it on like web or anything. It's weird.
Okay.
It's odd. Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange. But I guess back to my point with the evergreen content, because you've got all these sketch notes, and they're really they're pieces of content people can really come back to, right? And they're savable. That's why people save them on Instagram,
People
right?
really printed them out.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's something that would be worth doing, is like collecting those sketch notes and then putting them in a content which is more SEO friendly.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do them as YouTube videos. I want to do them as blog posts that accompany the YouTube video. That's the plan, I think. So going back through my catalog of the ones that I thought that I was the most happy with, which is probably only going to be like from a month ago, because the ones before that, I'm always going to be like, oh, no, I could have done better. But yeah, and seeing the ones that did decent and then turning those into videos and then sharing and pointing people back to the website to say, hey, there's a little bit more context and written stuff on the website itself.
Yeah.
For free. Yeah. And then ideally that's then the acquisition channel that people come through is, oh, he's got a course, he's got a this, he's got a that, just sort of getting people into that flywheel, I guess. But yeah, 100%. It's, it's exciting because a lot of the work is done.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It's for some stuff, a lot of the work is done. It's just, putting that format, doing it in a way that's not going to take me a really, really long time. I'm going to experiment with a bunch of different content in the beginning of YouTube just to see what's going on. But that's definitely one way of doing it. And that could be like if you're looking to branch out into a different platform, if you've already got content on one platform and one piece of content did well, there's nothing wrong with recycling that and putting that on a different platform. Yeah,
I think it's one of those things where different platforms have different kind of advantages, right? And different formats.
Yeah.
Like, something that's suitable for Instagram isn't suitable for TikTok necessarily, or Twitter or whatever. Like you've had to, with your sketch notes, you've had to change how they're done so they work on Twitter, right?
Kind of, yeah. So the only thing I changed with those, they're pretty interchangeable. Excuse me, but it was more so because with the carousel, you could swipe and it would look like it's seamless.
Yeah.
But if you put that in the context of a Twitter thread, it looks weird because half of the shit's cut off. So all I've done now is just made sure that each individual one could be its own. They can still sort of fold into one another. But those are actually, that's a good crossover content type that's working well on Twitter for me. Like I had one blow up the other week, which was like 2 whatever million views on the tweet itself.
It's crazy.
And like a few thousand follows from that. And I didn't get nearly that from Instagram, but it was the same piece of content. So it's good to kind of, it's a lower effort way just to, if you want to try Twitter, use some of your Instagram stuff. Because I've had people that have come onto stream that have said that they've found me through Twitter, not through Instagram, where I think it's just because where I'm at most of the time. They've found me through others. They've found me through Pinterest because people share stuff through that. Off of that tweet that I mentioned, I was playing around with Bing's AI.
Oh yeah.
And I just searched myself. Sounds narcissistic. I just wanted to see what it came up with.
Hasn't Googled themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Bing
Who hasn't bunged themselves? Yeah, whatever that word is. But I discovered an article that got written about that Twitter thread.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So it was, I had no idea. It linked back to the tweet, but I had no idea that someone had written an article around me a little bit and the post itself. I was like, that's interesting. So whether that would have been as easy to embed or share as an Instagram post, it might be easier to share around individual slides or tweets from Twitter into other places because it was like embedded. The tweets were embedded.
Yeah, you can't. Can you embed in? I guess you can.
You can embed an Instagram post, but I don't see it as much.
Yeah,
It's at least from the places that I'm cruising, like the tech stuff as well, like with Twitter and that kind of thing. But like tweet embeds are a big thing as well. So you just don't know when something's gonna kick off and where it's gonna be shared. So that was surprising to me, and that was really cool.
I guess like your sketch notes are really the most shareable pieces of content you have.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I'm trying to figure out with my stuff. I like the idea of having images with the tweets. Because I think that's because, a tweet is limited to 280 characters or whatever.
Yep.
But you can add an image and that, image, what is that? Picture says 1,000 words.
1,000 words or something, yeah.
So you can at least up your tweet up to 1,280 words or more than that.
That's it. Characters. People even write more just on the image itself.
Yeah.
They just like take a screenshot of their notes or whatever. Yeah,
that's true. Oh yeah, and you can do now with Twitter Blue, I think you can write like longer pieces of content.
Oh, can you?
I think so. Yeah, I haven't really looked into it too bad.
I know you can edit a tweet with Twitter Blue, but it gives you the history of what was edited.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Which is all right. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think about, a lot of this information I think would be better put in image form, I think, or at least in conjunction with image. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you have so many more different dimensions of working with the content, right? Rather than just characters. Yeah, so I'm thinking about, I probably will start this part of the consistency and the experimentation that I think is going to come up is like, can I figure out a way for me to create or image posts similar to they won't be as crazy illustrative as your sketch notes, but
hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to steal
the shit out, and I'll help you. I'll put one together for you. Use it as a blueprint.
Yeah,
like I was helping my mate Christian, shout out Christian Nee, with the Sketchy Van podcast. Like I helped him with one of his sort of carousel posts and just gave him tips and pointers on where the engagement might drop off, where the contrast of the text versus the background was a little bit hard to read, and that because there's little things like that which is going to be the difference between someone just skipping because it's just not worth the time, or someone actually consuming the content that you spent ages to put out there. It's kind of like, spending that little extra bit of effort to make it more presentable is going to be worth your while. I think because you're spending all this time doing the bloody thing, you want people to read it. It's not just doing it. It's not like a school assignment, just get it done, It's,
What do you reckon, like, fundamentally are the things you need to get right when you're doing this? Like you mentioned contrast, you mentioned engagement dropping off. Like what's the low-hanging fruit?
Low-hanging fruit is that first slide. Like if you're doing it through, I'm just going from like a carousel, Instagram, or even Twitter, right? That first tweet image should be pretty eye-catchy.
So like it needs to hook.
Yeah, essentially it's a hook. Like I look at it as a landing page. That's like the above the fold sort of thing, and even giving little hints of what's to come in the next one. So I'll do the sketch note and I'll do like little diagrams and sort of more intricate little explanations and have elements of that in the initial slide, that first slide. So it gives people a little bit of an, okay, cool. What is he talking about? Like there's intrigue there. He's like, what? Okay, there's a diagram of how the light bounces off okay, there's going to be an explanation of that. I want to go in and have a look, sort of thing. So that's what I'm aiming for with that first slide. I'll also throw it into my Photos app. So I've got an iPhone. I'll go into the Photos app and I'll make it square, just like Instagram. And then I'll just flick down and see how eye-catchy that is. So sort of like brighter colors tend to do better. Clear imagery, So it's not too messy. There's not too much going on. But if there is, there's a bit of hierarchy. Um, so, and when you get into the slides themselves, having like a clear font. I used to do like handwritten stuff, one that takes forever and it's not worth it. And then I put my handwriting as a font. But then I realized the goal of it is to be clear.
Yeah.
So then I just chose like SF Pro as the font basically. And then just did little it's called a classic comic font in Adobe fonts that just to give it like a more comic booky sort of feel here and there, but for the core information that I'm writing, just make it as clear as you can. Like a nice sans serif font is good and clear for sort of mobile, which is most of what the audience is going to look at, just even from the user interface design that I've learned. That's why you don't see a lot of apps with serif fonts. You still have blogs with serif fonts and that kind of thing, but it all depends on the style that you want. That you're going for.
So you really got to consider that the user, or I don't even know what to call them, the follower.
Yeah, the person.
Yeah, okay.
That's how I like to think
we'll
about
call them people. I guess they're people.
Yeah, for now. We'll just put that label on them just for now.
Yeah, but the person will be looking at your stuff on their small device. They may not have the most perfect set of eyes.
Yeah.
So you really got to optimize for readability, legibility, contrast.
Yep.
Hierarchy helps, which is making certain things pop out a bit more than other things, so you kind of know where your eye kind of naturally goes to whatever is more important.
Yep.
And then it still needs to be pretty and like look
visually appealing,
visually appealing.
Just like with everything, get reference from others. Like whether it be magazines, whether it be like blog posts or websites or anything that is in that realm that you're trying to learn visually, get some reference and see what you resonate with as well. And you best believe that Instagram is tracking every single touch, zoom, pinch, because you can zoom in on images as well. So you best believe that like everything, there's like, okay, that's an event that's happened on this one and this one and this one, which could be another indication of value for Instagram themselves to say, okay, this post is good because people are stopping, they're reading it, they're zooming, they're going to the next one, they're zooming, they're going to the next one, And I almost always put a 60-second time lapse at the end of each post one, because it's valuable, because it gives context basically on everything that I've said before. It's 60 seconds. It's the max that it'll allow you to do. And it just increases the time on that post as well, which is this is my assumption, like another indication for Instagram that this is a quality post. As long as someone's sitting on the post and doing stuff and interacting with the post, engaging with the post, the better, I think.
So you're really abusing it in a way, not in a bad way.
It's a nice happenstance that it just happens to add that extra bit of time potentially. But it's I wouldn't put it there. I wouldn't just put like 60 seconds of bullshit at the end. It would have to be valuable.
Yeah.
And even the description, writing the description and having some context, even more context in the description.
So people spend more time on
that's going to be another trigger. If someone actually is going to be like, okay, it's had X amount of description, like read more taps, and then if they save it and then they share it, then it's like ding, 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 like it's all sort of helps, at least from a development side and just thinking from a company. Like if we were building an app and we were trying to figure out what posts are doing the best, those would be some key things that we would try and track.
You'd have something that looked like engagement, and you try to make that be accurate.
So if all those three things happen, that's what we'd sort of filter the database for. Like, did they save it? Was it shared? How many times was it shared? How long were people on the post and blah, blah, blah. It's just, something that it's interesting. This all sounds very like user experience-y, all this stuff I'm thinking, because it's like my background. So I can't help but think about that experience of the user or the person as they're interacting with that piece of content.
That's interesting, because I don't think we've talked about that background being relevant to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess it is, right? Because you really are thinking about, you're putting yourself in their head, the person's head. We don't call them users here, Ben. We call them people.
People. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you go into the person's head and we think, if they happen to scroll through, so they're scrolling through Instagram, one, how do I make it stand out? That's why you do the photos thing, right? Like,
Yep.
how do I make them stop? And then how do I make a hook that's good enough so that they click through? So it's focused on that first kind of slide.
Yep.
And making it eye-catching. And then it's, once they're in, how do I make them stay there?
Yep.
And how do I make them look at everything? So that's just the description, that's time lapse, that's having lots of content in there.
Yeah.
Packing it full of value.
Every slide has to justify the next slide, right? And then before the time lapse, I'll almost always put a call to action of like what I would like the person, to do, right? And at the moment, oftentimes it's to check out my stylized like tutorial on Gumroad, right? But I would only do that before, like if I've given value before.
Yeah. You have to earn it almost. You feel like
exactly. I feel like I have to earn the right or the at least leeway to allow. Like I wouldn't be upset if someone did that to me. Basically, I wouldn't be upset. I couldn't give two shits. But it's like a nice thing. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
I've given you some value. I need to make money. I need to pay the bills. This is what I've got available to you. If not, no worries. Keep going to the next one and then get the full time lapse.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it. I've heard it might be, we talk about Adam Wathan a lot. Might have been him, but there was someone in that sphere of people said something like, you should give 10 times before you ask or something like that. Give X amount of times before you ask once.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're doing here with this content. You're giving so much value, and then here's a quick ask, go to my Gumroad.
And it gives you incentive to make a shit hot post with so much value to then give yourself like an inner peace of like, okay, yeah, I've earned this ask. And it's interesting. I'm hearing a few, like no names said here, but a few higher profile artists that'll put out free things on Gumroad, and those will make like with the option to pay what you want, and those things will make them more money than their like courses or their videos or whatever. Like for example, like a brush pack, right? People are making more money from just that free brush pack alone with the option to pay whatever you want than what they're making off of.
That's so interesting.
I wonder if that's like a psychological thing, like that whole reciprocation. Like I'm giving something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
I think there has to be some aspect of that going on, because it's like, you've been giving out this content for free and then they want to kind of like give you what you're worth. It's kind of like that we talked about the other week with the pricing thing, right? With like, giving people the capacity, and the people who have the capacity and the ability to pay more and who want to pay you more, a way to pay you more.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'd assume from that, I haven't seen the person's numbers that's doing this, but like, I would think that it's similar to kind of like whales in like free to play games, right? Like the vast majority of the money is probably given by,
Oh, yeah. I'd imagine. I haven't seen the numbers either. Like I know I've heard they're very nice.
They're good numbers.
They're
good looking numbers.
The monetary, it's fantastic. Mind you, they got a massive following, but at the same time, it's like majority of the people are going to pay nothing because that's an option. And some people are actually going to pay a fair amount for that free thing, which is, but it's got to be a good thing though. It can't just be some bullshit. Like here's a 1-page PDF of bullet points of whatever. Like, I don't know. It just, you've got those sort of lead magnet-y, less value kind of free things. But so I found that really interesting as well. Just like as I'm starting to connect with more people in the space, it's interesting to hear their stories and how they're going about making a living from this stuff.
Do you feel like you would experiment with that kind of model in any way?
Hell yeah. I heard those numbers. Yeah, baby. I'm in the process of writing a course now though at the moment.
Oh.
So I guess that's another thing I've been working on is sort of knocking out like a proper course, which is going to be sick. I'm really looking forward to putting this one out. It's going to take some time, but chipping away at it every day.
What's your strategy for kind of working at it? Because you've got all this content stuff that you have to keep up with, right? Like posting sketch notes, X amount of days, posting reels, and then working on the YouTube, and then now there's this course. Like, how do you find the time to carve that
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. So it's really just saying, okay, do something.
Mm.
Just like with anything, start small. So I've got like an outline from doing it for like a few weeks. I've got a full outline of what the course is going to be.
Hmm.
Even if one day I'll just rearrange the order of some of these headlines, and I might like write some assignments that I think in each one. And that's it.
Hmm.
Right? So it's like small little things like that. Even looking at someone else's course and seeing what I liked about that and putting that into the document just as like a reference to say, I like the way that they presented this. I like the filming style of this. I like the explanation style of that. I like how this was structured, that was structured, blah, 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 whatever. So that's how I find the time, is by not putting pressure on myself to finish this thing within a certain period of time. Like I would
Mm.
like to get it out probably a little bit after mid year,
Hmm.
at least in time for say like Christmas or before the end of the year, right?
Hmm.
So when it comes around, people have more time, then they can actually hop on and do the thing. So that's how I find time to do that, and it just starts with writing the thing out. It's like all the learnings that I've taken from the initial tutorial, basically doing a lot of the opposite of what I did to that, because that felt like a crunch. I felt like,
Okay.
oh shit,
Yeah.
I've given myself an arbitrary deadline, go, 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 go. And it was burnout city.
Hmm.
Um,
So for you, you wouldn't kind of do that again?
no, and I think the content is going to benefit from that.
Hmm.
So I might do, as I start getting more solidified in the ideas of what the modules are going to be,
Hmm.
I might just film one module a week,
Mm.
just really massage it, polish it, edit it up, done. That module's done.
Mm.
Da, 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 and then do that over however many weeks that's going to take.
Hmm.
And then I've got some content because I want to do like a cohort of like 10 to 15 people that go through it with me, like live. And that's where I'm going to get the feedback. It's going to be beneficial. One, I'm going to get paid for that, right? Because it'll be like a higher ticket to actually, because you're going to get me giving you critiques and that kind of thing. That can then also be used as marketing for when I sell the course as it's standalone. It gets me reviews. It also gets me like before and afters, hopefully, of people that have gone through it, where they were and sort of where they got to at the end of it. So it's like a nice little, at least that's the plan.
Mm.
It's like a nice little process. So it's really ramping up to that first stage. I don't even have to record anything necessarily before I get to that stage.
Mm.
I can get the course content, the structure of it all, run that live. And then from the feedback of the people, then I can start doing the recordings, and it's going to be a lot easier instead of guessing of like, how's this going to feel? How's this da 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 da? Like all those will be recorded, but I think just for me personally, not necessarily to use that as the course. Some people will do that. Some people will do the course live and then have that as the recording. Not something that I want to do. I might keep the critiques as like an added benefit of getting the course, because I think that's super valuable, because people might be at the similar stage of some of these people that are going to be coming through. So that could be cool. But yeah, I think that could be a nice way. At least I'm going to experiment with this. I've got a bunch of, and in doing this, I've got other shoot off ideas of like different courses and that kind of stuff as well. So in doing this process, is giving my mind room to breathe and like come up with ideas and implement bits and pieces and just jot notes down into, I'm using Notion as well, and like a database of like, okay, I've got one line item as the course that I'm working on at the moment. And then if I come up with another idea of another course, boom, put that in the next line item. So then I know where to put different ideas that I have. And so I'm liking the way that I'm doing it now than what I did with the initial tutorial.
I wonder, like, because this is a very different way, the way you're doing it, right? You know, this is a very slow and not calculated, but like maybe methodical. Like you're collecting reference over time. You're taking your time with it. You have a plan to kind of, you know, do this cohort and then release it to the wider audience. And then in your first kind of tutorial, you know, you set a deadline because I guess you wanted to stop yourself from procrastinating.
Yeah.
Basically.
It was just like, is this a viable thing?
Yeah.
And frame this as like an experiment. And this is a tutorial. It's not a full course. It's literally just recordings of going through one illustration. This is going to be like a course that I hope people are going to get benefit from years. Like, not like they won't from the tutorial, but it's just going to be like as jam-packed as I can get it. And even thinking about like email, sort of, what are they called? Automations and that kind of
Yep.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives my brain room to think about that as well. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you start thinking about all the things marketing wise and like launching a course and that sort of stuff,
Yeah, so
it
much.
gets pretty overwhelming. So yeah, doing it in this more methodical way over time and kind of landing the plane
I
smoothly
like that. Yeah.
or launching the plane smoothly rather than like, fuck, we got to go.
Yeah, but it's almost like you had to kind of do it that first way.
Yeah,
'cause
definitely.
when you were
I don't
doing that
regret
first
doing it that
one,
way. No.
you were almost testing this whole thing as whether it was financially viable for you.
Yeah.
You know, because you had gotten the traction from Instagram,
Mhm.
but you hadn't made a cent other than
Yeah.
$5 for coffee.
Yeah. That's it. It was an experiment, and yeah, I got that data,
Mhm.
and
You
Yep.
went through the stress and the burnout, and now
yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't really burnt. It was just like it was a big relief when it was
Yeah.
released. But I want to make this sustainable throughout my career. Right?
Mm.
How can I replicate this and give the most value? And how is this going to be sustainable? And I think it's doing it this way,
Mhm.
at least at the moment.
Mhm.
And I'm going to go through this bigger course, and I'm going to come out with learnings at the end of that. So okay, I'll tweak this, I'll tweak that, and da 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 da. And hopefully by that time, the goal of this course is to allow me to hire editors
Mm.
to then start sort of building this thing that I want to start scaling it
Mhm.
up quite a lot more, because I'm starting to see the capacity of just me,
Mhm.
particularly with folding YouTube into this whole sort of content game as well. So that's the goal of this course. So
Mm.
yeah, that's exciting.
It is very exciting. Yeah, it's kind of like the next step. or
Yeah,
Another phase.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I think like, yeah, you mentioned, what was my point? I've already forgotten my point, but that's all right. But yeah, yeah, like I was thinking like, because you've taken two different approaches to this,
Mm.
and then I'm thinking like, from the viewer or from the person that's listening to this, like, would they think, was the first way you did a mistake? If doing it all again, would you do it this new way? Like, or
yeah, if I already knew that it was going to be viable,
yeah. So you feel like
I
you
probably
needed
would
that
have done it
knowledge?
differently. Hey,
Do you feel like you needed that knowledge?
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
going to be different for everyone.
Mm.
Like, is there a smaller? I would have probably done a cohort thing, like an in-person, like for my own, not for like another company that I've done already.
Mm.
It's like I would have done my own thing, even at a smaller scale, not this sort of bigger course that I'm looking to do. Do it at a smaller scale, get real people in, conversations, write notes after every
hmm
session, get the key questions and bits and pieces, and then get that, go through that way of doing things. This is only I've not done this yet, though. Mind you, I have been working at Anim School.
Mhm.
I'm doing this like a stylized workshop for like 10 weeks. So that's helped solidify some ideas as well, and some consistent questions, and
Mm.
where the level of the students were at in the beginning, and some aha moments that they've had. Like I've had some really good feedback
Mm.
where they was like, that makes sense to me now
Mm.
because you explain it in this way. I'm like, thank you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's cool because like by doing that, you've left less of it up to luck, right? You have
I'm trying to
some
mitigate the
evidence.
risk
Mm.
as much as humanly possible.
Mhm.
But the cool thing is, once it's done, and it's there, and I can always tweak it and update it as I want.
Mhm.
But yeah, so what's your first monetization strategy? That's
Content wise,
content wise. That's an interesting one that I've been thinking about for you as well. Like, what is your fastest path to?
I don't want to think so much about fast. I very much want to play
True.
the long game.
Yep.
I think for me, it's the first challenge is trying to figure out what can I provide that's useful.
Mhm.
I think that's really like, where my challenge is.
Mm.
Because I do feel like, there's a lot that I know in certain areas. It's just like, how do I turn all that knowledge into something that's useful for other
Yeah.
people? So that's like really what I'm trying to experiment with now with the tweeting and with the trying to build up consistency
Mm.
is like, even this tweet that I just did, I know you said it was good and thank you, but like, like even when I was writing, I was like, there is a lot of room for improvement here.
Yeah,
there are ways that I could talk about this that would be more useful, I think, or more, value packed.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to build myself up so that I'm capable of delivering the value, like a sketch note, delivering that much value in one small package.
Yep.
So that I can consistently deliver pieces of value, So that's really what I'm concerned about now. Not so much the money like the money making, I think, will come when it's ready.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
I'm not too fussed about that.
If I was in your position now, I would get this thread, figure out how to write it in a way where I can just store it, not just on my Twitter page. I would keep that as like a module, like dates and times and that kind of thing, right? So then when I'm ready to maybe make something that's like consumable as like a paid thing, then I've got all these like threads that are like high value. As I get better, I can then go back, and it's going to be less of a pain to go back through and sort of, okay, what was good, what was bad, like go through the whole tweet. I would honestly get that, put it in a note somewhere, and just like the one day all this information is going to be collected eventually. Like even as you start getting into like the React Native stuff as well, I think that's going to be super high value.
So like build like a table of contents.
Or just an outline. Yeah. And just have those as like key bits of information. And then you can even put a star next to it, or if something pops off, like, okay, high ticket sort of thing. That's what I would have done with the sketch notes.
Yeah.
I would have saved my writings on them and the images separately rather than just do the post done. I would have taken that little extra step. Maybe it's the day after, put it somewhere so then I can come back and then rearrange it and make it even better later on, just as like a time saver. And it can spark as you start to see the threads and the outlines start to come together in that note. You could maybe even start seeing, oh, this is a product right here. You know what I mean? This could be my first product. Polish it up, maybe do a couple of tutorial videos on specific things, slap a price on it and put it out. And it's less of that, like, now I've got to monetize something. It's like the information's already there. It's like kind of a mini blog post, even the thread. It's,
exactly. That's kind of how I think about it. Yeah, that's part of what, like, one, I don't know what I would even make a product on. That's part of what the experimentation is for, to see what resonates with people, both the content and both how I present the content and also how I feel about it, because I don't know. So that's basically where I'm at, just building the capacity to keep doing this, because I think it was like, even though this thread wasn't difficult to make, it still took me a long time in the grand scheme of things to like write it, Not that it was hard to think of the content to put in there, but it's just like, I feel like I need to be in the frame of mind, or not even frame of mind, but like just build the capacity to even write one tweet or like one thread, And then now it's just building upon that so that I can write that more often. Even to get over the resistance or whatever it is, like just building that muscle.
One thing that stands out to me about that is I was listening to, I can't remember what it was, but something that hit home for me was the gist of it was like the magic comes in the editing. I think it was maybe comedians I was listening to. It's not so much that the real work comes with editing the joke or the story. It's not so much, you can have all the ideas and the premise and everything, but it really comes down to cutting those things down. And that's something that I'm finding even with the YouTube stuff. The edit is where it matters a lot. And that takes a lot of time, because we might have all the information. You can just write the information and there you go. But it's how to structure it in a way that's consumable. If you are doing a story, how does it tell a story? How do you cut the fat? You know what I mean? That is the thing that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, that's a very comedian way of putting it, right? Like it's all in the delivery. You can tell the joke. I can tell the joke, you can tell a joke, but maybe some like Chris Rock can tell the joke much better.
Oh, he can. Did you see his Netflix?
I haven't seen it, but it's probably similar to the one that we saw.
There is a big part that is very different.
Okay.
Worth checking out.
All right.
Yeah, because we real quick side note.
Yeah.
We went to Chris Rock, and I forgot that you mentioned that you were going.
I don't think I even mentioned it.
No, yeah, and my mum had tickets, and my dad couldn't go, so she's like, "You want to go?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." But he go to the bathroom, run into this guy on my way to the bathroom. I was like, "Hold on,
I know you."
Yeah, what a random bloody thing.
Yeah.
No, that was good. That was good. A lot of the same stuff, but particularly about Will Smith.
Okay.
He went deep. Like, you know how I thought that he didn't go into it at all, or nearly enough when he did. Like, it came here to Adelaide, he was saving it for Netflix.
I'm glad. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
So it's all in the delivery, like Chris Rock. Okay, so yeah, and all in the edit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trimming the fat, right? Because it's easy to want to. There was also another. I've got a post on it on my website, but it's about not thinking that your audience, like not treating your audience like they're silly or they're stupid. Like, don't try not to over explain something, or when you're explaining something, don't like brush over it. At the same, there's like a balance between there. You don't want to over explain something. You don't want to brush over something. So if there's like a topic, I might like to, instead of just brush over it, go like, oh, if you don't understand this, this is what it is. Start from the very beginning and like explain it, but not like it's a very fine balance. It was the guy from Vsauce. It was a very interesting, because he talks about all these esoteric things and like science and these weird, really weird things. And instead of just brushing over them, he'll like dive deep into it in a more exploratory way, instead of like, this is what it means, move on, or like, I'm smarter than you, move on, you should already know this. It's like, no, dive deeper into the idea, but don't treat your audience like they're stupid, because they're not. All right. But it's a fine line, because you don't really know where to stop.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. Always comes back to Adam Wathan.
Adam Wathan, our Lord and Savior.
When he mentioned something about like teaching to intermediates almost, or it's like that. There's already so much stuff for the beginners. If you can kind of niche down and target more intermediates, there might be more opportunity. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and like just back on the comedian thing, like it reminds me of like Jerry Seinfeld and Louis C.K. Like they work very hard on their material.
I love that. When I heard that, like how hard they work.
Yeah,
this is sick.
Yeah,
they just rock up and wing it. Some comedians do, and they're just like a natural talent. But like, these guys are like hard workers.
Yeah, and when they talk about, when Jerry talks about what they would do when they were writing Seinfeld, they wrote everything. They wrote every line, every word, every like little mannerism. To some extent. That sometimes you don't think of comedy as being such a like polished thing, or even as an art form. Like, because there is an art to the delivery of that.
Hell yeah.
And like, I guess the analog with creating content is that it is also, an art form in that way, which is that there is a lot of depth and kind of minutia and details that you can kind of nerd out about. And you can spend a lot of time getting it basically perfect in the edit.
Yeah.
It might take a long time, but that is an option that you have.
Yeah. And I hear a lot of comedians say like, yeah, you can do all that, but you got to go and do time. You got to go and you got to go out. You got to test it out. You got to go to all the open mics. You've got to play the clubs.
Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
There
right?
You go, Mike Tyson.
Yep,
that's it.
So you actually got to. Yeah, I mean, we can pontificate about the minutia about posting, but it is hard to actually post something.
It is,
and then to continue creating content that's improves upon what you've posted before. Like,
yeah, man,
it's a hard thing to do.
Definitely, but I'm so glad that you got that tweet out.
Well, thank you.
Wicked tweet. Cannot wait to see the next one.
It'll come.
Yeah, man.
And tonight, we're going to see the YouTube.
Yeah, baby.
Or whenever this gets released.
Yeah. Yep. So
it should already be done for real this time.
Yeah.
For real. Yep.
That's it. So now that'll be good just to get it over and done with. And on to
Cool.
the next one. Because it's
On to the next
freaking
one.
the edit is the whole. I've just even my computer, even though it's like a decent computer now,
Uh-huh.
I just still feel it like, oh, far out, man. Like another link to After Effects, another After Effects link to Premiere Pro, like another effect. I'm just like, just fucking relax. Yeah, we'll get it. It'll be over soon. We'll get a fresh one. And I think, yeah, even down to like the naming conventions of the files, just being organized in that way just helps out a ton. Anyway, we can nerd out about that after I've
Yep.
next one.
Okay. Well, this is a good one.
There's a good one. We've got a couple of chats.
All right.
Sugar Beats.
Okay.
Welcome if you're still here. Question for you later. How do you both stay focused? What helps you most to stay organized? Okay, so those are two questions. So how do you stay focused?
It's difficult. I don't think it's easy.
It's a practice.
It's a practice, but it's one that I'm sometimes good at, sometimes bad at. I think if I think about the times when I'm really focused, it's when there's a task that's achievable and I know every step that needs to get there and I'm making progress along the way. Then it's very easy to just keep going forever on that. I think the more uncertain things are, or the more like decisions you have to make, the harder it is to focus. And then you might need some other technique or something to do that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's still a challenge. Like, I don't think I'm
same for me.
greatest.
But I have a weird thing. If something's too laid out, I procrastinate that as well. Because I was like,
it's too easy. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's like if every step is laid out and I know exactly what to do, I'll be like, I'll get it done later.
Exactly right. You get that feeling of like, I'll just do it later.
And then when you do it, you're like, fuck, I should have done this earlier.
Yeah, because it would take a little bit longer than you thought it would.
Exactly. It's never as it's never as quick as you think it's gonna be. But yeah, no, it's a challenge for me as well. It's all it all depends on what you're actually trying to do. Like you mentioned, like if it's like the focus of say like making a habit, do something small. Like the focus of doing this course that I'm writing now, keep it small. I don't know because it's such a behemoth task. I don't know if I just tried to sit down and do it, that I would be able to stay focused.
Yeah.
But knowing that I've chunked it off and it's a part of a bigger thing, that small chunk I can handle for this next half an hour to an hour.
Well, even with big things, like if it's too big, or even you feel it's big, but you're highly motivated to work on it, then you can work on it for a long time, but then you burn out, right? It's almost like you don't pace yourself.
Yep.
Like, so that's a good strategy, right?
And that's a good thing. Like that's something I don't want to burn out on this course. I want to keep it fresh, keep it interesting, and I want to be like as relaxed as I am now on launch day. I don't want it to be like a mad rush. I just want to, okay, cool. At 10:30, we hit live, and it's good. Nothing more to do. Everything's set up. Bada bing, bada boom. That's the goal. Whether it happens like that, I don't know. But yeah, so focus is still a tricky one. Noise cancelling headphones help. 40 hertz binaural beats. I don't mind that. But yeah, apart from that, that's not. It's a challenge. It's a practice that sort of, at least for me, it's still a struggle. There's another one. I find that building a following isn't that difficult. For me, what's difficult is the business side. I get so much anxiety thinking about it.
Yeah. I wonder what the anxiety is from. Or like what part of it is anxiety inducing for you? Is it just because you don't know what to do, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know. What's anxiety inducing, Sugar Bit? Because you're in here right now. What's she's upset that we talked about Louis C.K. Oh well.
Yeah, he's done some weird stuff.
Yep.
Definitely won't deny that.
No.
But just because we mention him doesn't mean we endorse the weird stuff.
No.
He's just another guy.
That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sugar Beats, with the business side of things, what is the issue? Like what I guess it's trying to find out what that looks like. It's kind of what you're going through at the moment. What is that?
In terms of,
Or not even like what you're thinking about at the moment, but it's like, what do you want to do? Like the business side. So you said it's easier for you to make a following. So that's sick. That's a massive advantage.
yeah, because there's so many different
anxiety
things.
to sell stuff, money anxiety. Okay, so is it something around like not valuing? Because that's something that I've felt is like I don't like my worth and what I'm putting out.
Yeah, or like, I'm starting to ask for something,
Yeah.
or putting yourself out there, like, oh, I have something that's available for sale.
Yeah.
What happens if people don't buy it? What does that say about me?
Yeah.
Does it mean I suck? Does
Yeah.
it mean my stuff sucks?
But she say, Sugar Beats is saying people want to buy my stuff and I get scared. So you've got people wanting to buy your stuff. And there's like anxiety there about accepting money from someone or something. Yeah, I'm asking. They're like I'm asking too much monies. Okay, like she's asking too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like I see that a lot, definitely. Like feeling like you're too greedy for
and have to go to the post office. Oh, Duncan's in chat. What's happening, man? Duncan. So I'm assuming Prince. Prince, because if you're saying you're going to the post office, I'm going to assume Prince of some sort, and there is a little bit of that extra hassle.
Maybe it's like being overwhelmed with all the steps you have to do if you're assume that you're selling prints to someone.
Yep, physical products are tricky. I've never done it.
Yeah. Like I think it is. It is overwhelming. It can be, definitely. The solution to that.
So she's saying selling oil paintings. So selling the original. Steps. Yeah. So it's like
it really depends on you. Like Sugar Beats, I think, like, I guess finding out, because it's such a personal thing, there's so many different things you can be overwhelmed about.
I guess it's like, okay, what do I do with the painting? How do I wrap it? How do I make sure it gets there?
What if it doesn't get there?
What if it doesn't get there? Yeah. Well, then I think that could be like adding some guarantees, like money back guarantee. If it doesn't make it to you, your money back, or you do like a 50, like if you actually, because you're talking it to someone that's paying you generally for this, you say, okay, look, 50% of the money up front. Okay. When it arrives there, you could, I don't know, that's a lot of trust though you put onto someone. Or you just do like, I'll give you money back if it doesn't reach you. And there's always going to be a little bit of trust with the physical products side of things. So this is all guess. I've never done this apart from like eBay stuff, which isn't my own art. It's like,
I think like maybe, like there's so many, I just think there's so many different things that are so individual to you, Sugar Beats. Like it really depends on you. And I think, I wonder if there's a way to reframe it so that, this person that you're selling the art to, they want your art, they like your art. It's a way to kind of share what you've done and make that person happy.
Yeah.
Is there a way?
And that's valuable. Like your art is valuable as frick.
Yeah.
Like no, you shouldn't discount that by any means. Maybe even writing out, like what helps me sometimes, to write out the steps. What do I need to do to make a successful sale? Outside of price and all of that sort of stuff, because that's something that you've got to really figure out yourself, or even look around similar artists, what they're charging for their stuff. Like maybe that I don't like, because a lot of artists underprice themselves, I think. Yeah. Like that's just a natural thing, because you'd be doing this anyway. That's the tricky thing. For me, if I was going to have anxiety about price and I was selling, because I want to get into oil paintings myself, my thing would be, I'll do this anyway. It's fun. It's not like a job. So there's like, the transfer of money and value, and that it's like kind of a messy thing. But at least from the steps, if you're having anxiety about the steps on what to take, write them down. What do you need to do? Okay, one, I need to finish the painting. Check, cool, done. Next, what packaging? Okay, the packaging is this. If you've got a scale, okay, just weigh it. How much is that? There's things like ShipStation and all sorts of stuff that help you out with that kind of thing as well. Like, not sponsored or anything, but like I've heard that on a lot of podcasts. So you've got like ShipStation and people like that, which will help calculate shipping costs. So you've got to take that into your account, into account for the price. Also, don't discount the materials that you used as well. The materials, the time that's spent. Although I wouldn't connect it one-to-one with the time. Like, it took me like 3 hours to do this oil paint. Excuse me. It took me 3 hours to do this oil painting. Charged me at like X amount of. That's not how it works.
Yeah, for sure.
You could take that if that helps. Take that into account, and then once you've got those steps in, it's literally getting the address from whoever you're sending it to. And if you go and do those steps, wrap it up, or just Google best way to wrap up an oil painting for shipping. You know, that could be one way to do it.
Yeah,
and then just do it. Like, it's annoying to say, but then once you've got all those steps, you go tick, tick, tick. Making checklists helps me. Like, quells my anxiety a lot. Even with posting, I've got to make the thing, do the sketch note, write the description, reply to comments, right? So I've even done this myself, like write out that checklist and say, okay, done. All the steps are done. Has the payment come in? Awesome. Ship it, right? I mean, you can. I'd imagine there's even services for that. Maybe even people like you. Someone comes to your house and picks it up for you. Like, that's probably an extra expense that you've got to take into account. But if you're more comfortable with that, you could go down that route, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah.
But there's guaranteed there's YouTube videos on how to properly pack an oil painting for sure, right? So that would be my advice. Checklist it out. What are all the steps? And see if you can just do step one.
Yeah. And if you're having trouble, ask a friend, I reckon. That's probably something that would help you a lot. See if you can get a friend to look over it, look over the steps, or help you figure out what the next step to do. Because, at least for the first, time or whatever, until you feel like you can do it yourself.
She says, they say also that they've had someone to ask them to design merch. So
a website.
So that's up to you if you want to do that.
Yeah,
that's a whole other thing.
That would
that seems more anxiety inducing to me, because it's like, well, okay, now it's like figuring out split costs. What does that matter? Are you going to pay up front? I think it's really just having an open conversation with the person that's asking. What are they looking for? Because I've done this myself. I've tried to like go back and forth and say, okay, what should I charge? What do they actually need? Have a conversation with them. What's their budget? If you can figure out their budget and what they're willing to do for this, then it's a more relaxed conversation and just being honest with them. It doesn't have to be so adversarial necessarily, I don't think. It's just like being open. That, at least for me, makes it a heck of a lot easier talking about pricing and that kind of thing. And if they say, name your price, name a price. Like it's if they got, because you got to think, if it's merch, then that's a business deal that you're making. They're getting monetary value from your designs. So it's no longer just that one piece of art that you're doing. That art is going on merch, it's going on t-shirts, like mugs, like whatever that they're going to do. You got to take that into account as well. So that could sort of command a higher price, because they are gaining not just from your, they are gaining value monetarily from your art as well. Again, this is just thinking off the top of my head. I've not done any of this stuff. It's just a couple of things to consider. And
I think with, if someone asks you to design merch, they may not know what goes into that whole thing. It may just be like, it might just be like an offhand comment almost.
Yeah.
And then they kind of give you the burden of like, oh,
figure it out.
Yeah. Like if it's at that stage and you really, if it's too much, it might be a good idea just to maybe not do it, or find or ask them to kind of make it an easier problem for you. You know, they may just not know what goes into that.
Or they may have done it before. So, okay, so what process did you go through with your previous designer or artist? Are there any particular key, like, a lot of this is just breaking it down into the smallest steps possible, and knocking off that first line item, that first to do. Slowly just going through it, sort of dipping your toes in, just really, taking it one step at a time. But yeah, I hope that was helpful, Sugar Beats.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Duncan, he's done the oil painting thing. Sweet. Look at that. We're connecting people. Love it.
Great connectors.
Awesome. Yeah, Duncan, if you can help Sugar Beats out, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I reckon that
time to wrap.
Time to wrap.
Yeah, it's pretty late here.
Yep. I'm hungry.
Hungry again. All right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Duncan and Sugar Beats.
Yep.
For popping in. This was another episode of Make Now Think Later. What did we talk about? Just as a quick recap.
Just a quick recap. Oh, I've really forgotten, Ben. We talked about YouTube. We talked about my tweet. We talked about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valuable stuff.
Yep.
That's it.
Super valuable.
Awesome. Well, look, thanks again. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
As always. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Adios.
Catch ya.